Hey everyone, Pixel Robots here. Someone asked me nicely via YouTube comment to do a video about the AKS local admin account. So here it is. So what is the AKS local admin account is probably the best place to start in this video. It is basically a local admin account, as the name suggests, that lives inside your AKS cluster. Normally when you create your AKS cluster, this account is created for you automatically. And this local admin is cluster admin, so it has full access to everything. If you're using the commands AZ AKS get dash credentials and you push the dash dash admin at the end, that's using that account. And it's kind of like a backdoor into your AKS cluster, gives you full access to everything and anything. You can update your existing AKS cluster to remove it too. So let's get started. First, let me share my command window. Right, here we are. So I've already logged into an AKS cluster. I've also logged into my Azure subscription. As you can see, the first thing we need is to basically have an Azure Active Directory group with us being a member of it, or anyone who needs access to a cluster, a member of that Azure Active Directory group. I'm not going to show you how to create an Azure Active Directory group because everyone should know how to do that. It's very simple to do via the portal, but I've already got one. And there's this important bit of information you need from this group, and that's the object ID. So let's go ahead and get this object ID using the AZ group list command. So I'm just doing a filter here with display name equals AKS-admin because that's the name of my group, and I'm just outputting it to a table. This will go ahead and get me the object ID, which is this one here. So I just need that for my next command. So I'm just going to copy that, and I will use that in the AZ AKS create command. But before we can create the AKS cluster, we're going to need a resource group because everything in Azure needs a resource group. So we're going to use the AZ group create command for that and just copy and paste that into the window now. And the resource group name is just RG AKS non-admin, and the location is just West Europe. Simple, easy command. That's my resource group created. Now the AZ AKS create command is going to use this resource group, use this object ID of the group we found earlier. So I'll just paste that in now. So AZ AKS create, resource group name we just created, the name of the cluster. We're going to enable Azure Active Directory integration. So this is a key part. To disable the local admin account, you have to ensure your cluster is Azure AD integrated. And that's what this switch here does. The next switch, AAD admin group object IDs, is the object ID of the group we just got. So we're going to paste that in there. And then we have the new flag -- disable local accounts. And that is the key here as well. So like without this switch, the local admin account will be created. So if I hit enter here, this will go ahead and create as an AKS cluster. It takes about 6 minutes because it's a simple cluster with 3 system nodes, Linux and everything. So it's just a bog standard cluster. But what I want to say here is if you have an existing cluster, you can basically use this same command, but you change the create to update, and it will update your existing AKS cluster with the Azure AD integration and then disabling the local admin account. If your cluster is already Azure AD integrated, just get rid of those bits and just do the update, but with the disable local accounts, and that will remove any local accounts on your cluster. But, and here's the big but, if you've got users already logged in to your AKS cluster using this -- admin bypass backdoor, you're going to need to rotate the certificates if you need to kick them out quickly, because they're still going to have that local kubeconfig file downloaded with the certificate inside it to allow the access to the AKS cluster. So just keep that in mind if you're going to work on an existing AKS cluster and remove the local account. So we're going to just sort of fast forward, pause the video here, and I'll be back once the cluster is created. Okay, we have the cluster created. So let's see what happens if we try to use the -- admin command to sort of backdoor into the cluster like we would used to do to get access via the local admin account. So I'm just going to paste the AZ AKS get credentials command in here with the -- admin at the end. And if we hit enter, we should hopefully get an error, and we do. Okay, that's perfect. This is exactly what we wanted to see. So it says getting the static credentials is not allowed because this cluster is not set to disable local accounts. That's perfect. That means that backdoor is closed. But what happens if we remove the --admin and just get the credentials like we would normally do? As well, already logged into Azure, it gets it. It's pulled it down locally to my machine. Now, let's do the kubectl commands to see if we've got access to the actual cluster and can do things with it. So we'll just use kubectl get pods, and we'll do it on all the namespaces. And it's asking us to log in again, even though we've logged in, we're signed into the Azure portal, and via the CLI, it's asking us again to log in. So let's go ahead and open that in a new window, and I will copy this authentication code, and I will do my login. It will take a little while because it's got two-factor authentication, which is highly recommended for anyone doing this kind of stuff. And we'll just sign in here. Perfect. And then hopefully we should see all of our pods running inside the cluster. And that's the benefit and the joys of removing this local admin account. You can now only give sort of cluster admin level access to people who are members of that Azure Active Directory group. You can enforce like MFA on this, so they have to do two-factor authentication to get into your cluster as well, which is perfect. They could be synchronized from on-prem Active Directory up to the Azure Active Directory and then members of this group. You could also remove people from this group and only put them in when needed. So it's kind of like a just-in-time sort of cluster access, which is really cool and nice and cheap to do over the standard just-in-time access and fully auditable, unlike the local admin account. So yeah, that's how easy it is to disable the local admin account, and you can do it on a new cluster, on an existing cluster. So with that said, I hope this has been helpful. And if you have any comments or questions, please reach out to me. What I'll do also is I'll put a link to the Microsoft Docs in the description box below. So if you want to read more into this, you can do that. And thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.